Welcome your hosts, Caddy, Frank, and Sarah Kemp, as they lead discussions about substance use disorder and the journey to recovery. You're listening to Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution.
Got that music kind of moving in your soul. Say it every single time I get on this radio.
And you're dancing in your seat.
I know. If anybody's watching on video, we just sway back and forth. Hello, hello, hello out there.
Hello.
Hi, Sarah.
Hi, Caddy.
So welcome to Redefining Recovery, a revolution.
Oh, that sounds fancy.
I know, isn't it fancy? So my name is Caddy Frank and
Sarah Kemp.
like the ice cream.
Yes, like the ice cream.
Yes, and we are here with Minnesota Recovery Connection. We have this incredible program that brings recovery to the greater public.
Yes.
To talk about that recovery is easy and hard and somewhere in between as well.
And possible.
And possible. Thank you.
Thought I'd throw that in there.
Oh, and sometimes it's hard.
It is hard sometimes.
It is. So first and foremost, Miss Sarah Kemp, what is right with you today?
I would say enjoying the sunshine. Mm-hmm. After the snowmageddon we had last weekend, it's nice to see the sunshine.
Yes, it
Puts me in a better mood.
I can see it all over your little shiny face.
Although drivers are a little crazy today.
Well, it's Friday. It's nice out. Everybody's like, woohoo!
Although you are listening to this on a
Saturday. Sorry about that, folks. Yes.
Caddy, what's right with you today?
I'm going to do a little mirror of that. It's very nice to see the weather changing from Snowmageddon. And also, it is really nice that we know spring is coming.
It is. It's the first day of spring.
I know. Thank you for reminding me again.
You're welcome.
What's nice about it is that I think everybody's mood increases. People have more daylight, literally.
Yes.
So we all kind of get ourselves kind of just in a better mood. Maybe for those early risers, it isn't quite as light in the morning for those, but I'm thrilled as I can possibly be. So it's just that time of year when everybody sort of thinks rejuvenation thoughts.
And when my boyfriend comes home from work, it's still daylight out. Ooh. And so he actually has energy when he gets home and not all grumpy. So that makes a difference.
Very big difference.
That seasonal depression is a real thing. So hopefully with the spring weather, things will turn around.
Yeah. Well, and I think the daylight gets longer. The warmth begins to come in. It's going to ebb and flow. It always does in Minnesota. We just kind of have a snowstorm of 9-10 inches last weekend, and this weekend it's going to be somewhere
in the 70s.
In the 70s on this Saturday, which you are listening to this. So I just hope we're all enjoying it.
Yes.
That's what it comes down to.
Get outside if you can.
If you can, take care of yourself. Do stuff, like in the words of Sarah Kemp.
Take care of yourself. Self-care. If you don't do it,
nobody can.
Exactly. No one will take care of you like you can.
We're cheerleaders. Can you hear that?
So that's what this weather does to us.
I know, really. It does lift up the mood. Well, I want to say I was out to dinner with a very good friend last night. And it was an interesting conversation because the last time I saw her, she didn't know I had a radio show. It'd been a little while since we'd gotten together, and I realized we're 100, maybe.
I was going to say, it's been a minute.
Well, life gets in the way.
Yes.
Life gets in the way. And so the fun thing is that she listened to a couple of shows. And she's like, wow, that sounds really cool. Y'all are having fun. And so she heard the show, a couple of shows, the one that I did by myself, and then she heard the one with Eli, which was done a couple weeks ago.
The new hobby one?
The new hobby one. And I just want to say, from a person who's in recovery herself and a person who has not struggled with her recovery, but struggled with life, this thing called recovery then has this thing called life that follows right behind it.
Life be lifing sometimes.
And life be lifing hard. And in our conversation, it was lovely. There were some tears shed on both parts because when we share, when we talk, when we give ourselves permission to not be okay, sometimes life can be very complex. Even if you're riding through your recovery in a really strong way, doing well, life can life. And when it does, acknowledge it.
Yes,
right?
And talk to someone. Talk
to a friend. And since we had kind of not parted ways, and life got in the way.
Yeah.
And now getting back together, we realize how important it is to have that conversation. and share with somebody what's going on who might give you a whole different perspective. And I think that's the thing about Minnesota Recovery Connection. When we do peer-to-peer services, we get to bring in a whole different view than the clinical world, right?
Yes, a more real world
Yeah.
experience, suggestions, ideas, and not so book.
or
Booky.
clinical, or here, this is the way you should do
Yes.
it. You,
Because we don't like that word.
No, we don't. So it was just really great to be with her and share time with her and listen and be present.
Yes,
'Cause
that's important.
sometimes I like to talk a lot.
Active listening skills.
I know I did pretty well last night.
That's good.
Yeah. But it really was important for our conversation together because I was like, oh, you could do this, or oh, you could do that, or why didn't you think about this? And what I did is I just shut up. I didn't do that. There was a time and a place where I could say, have you thought about, or what I think I'm hearing is, and I really want you to be happy and safe and in the right place, or whatever that case may be. And that changed the whole conversation because she just was able to download and actually shed some tears that she says, I don't ever really cry. And I'm like, you go, girl.
There you may. But see, that's the importance of having someone you trust, is that you can be that vulnerable and let yourself get to that space.
Yeah. Have you ever had that interaction with someone as of recently
No,
where you've kind of like let down your guard a little bit?
no.
No? Maybe you should do that sometime, Sarah.
You know what it is? I get annoyed.
What do you get annoyed about?
I have my boyfriend sometimes. Like, it comes out sideways,
Okay.
right? Like, it doesn't come out as, like, sadness or emotion like that. It comes out more as grumpy or annoyed. That's what it comes out as, or emotional eating.
Or emotional eating. Been a fair amount of that lately
Yes.
going on.
Yes.
No, it is. And I think that's a really important thing to, sometimes we don't know how to like acknowledge what's going on. So we take that sidestep,
Yeah.
right?
And it's easy. For some reason, that's just my go-to.
Well, these are people we love, we trust. They're going to like us even when we're grumpy. They're going to like us even when we're not so pleasant to them.
Exactly. Because
And-
he also knows to just leave me alone.
Right.
And sometimes that's what it is. I just need my time. And then after that, I'm fine.
Yeah. So all of
Or
this...
how many times I come down to your office during the day.
Exactly. Well, and then all of this to say, folks, is that people in recovery have a lot of different spaces and places where sometimes we need space, sometimes we need to talk, sometimes we don't know what we need and just shut up and be present.
Or a cat or a dog.
A cat or a dog. But when somebody's on a recovery journey, either early recovery or long-term recovery like myself or midlife recovery like Sarah is, it's a journey for us, and it's also the journey for the people who love us.
Yes.
Because if you've not struggled with substance use disorder, you kind of don't know the shame and the guilt and the self-destructive thoughts or
the memories that come back.
memories that come back, or just the insecurity of just sort of sometimes being in your own skin. You know, if you're undergoing a lot of change, which can happen in any space or any place, that's when we get a little squirrely because we're
Yes.
like, okay, huh.
And the unknown is scary to people.
Yeah, I'm gonna be pretty vulnerable when we come back from our break and share an experience I had just a couple hours ago that I think it's one of these things that you'll know if you know, and if you don't know, you're not going to know. And Sarah's giving me her crinkly. She's giving me. Y'all can't see the crinkly eye. I'm saying this to the camera. You don't know the crinkly
No.
eye. She gives me a crinkly eye, but there are times when it's important to be vulnerable.
No, I just don't know what you're talking
I know
about.
you have
That's
no
all.
idea.
That's all.
You haven't been at the office. So when we come back from break, I've got a couple of topics I want to talk about. I'm going to talk a little bit about my experience last week being in Stillwater Prison with 22 men that we trained to be peer recovery specialists. Yesterday, I had an experience with the Native American community with people that were training for peer recovery specialists with a specialized sort of view on Native American culture. And I'm going to peek out a little bit of vulnerability on something that was just a real like hit my head when I was in a space, in a place.
Oh, I'm excited. It's a
I know,
cliffhanger,
it's a
everybody.
cliffhanger. Hey, here we go. So thank you for listening to Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution here on,
AM 950.
and we are representing,
Minnesota Recovery Connection.
and we have education, advocacy, and peer-to-peer support. So if you need any of those things, come in, or if you want to, donate. We'll take that too. Thank you. We'll be back in a moment.
Through this year of being alone.
Here we are again.
Hello.
Hello, Sarah.
Hello, Caddy.
So here we are again, Redefine Recovery, Recovery Revolution here on AM 950, the progressive radio station. So yeah, I'm kind of in a fancy.
You are. You're in a goofy mood. That's
I
what it
know.
is.
Well, being outside, I got to tell you, with the temperature changing, it really does lift your mood. And I was kind of going a little fast in the car, so I kind of got all speeded up there. I know I just got an eye roll. If you
Because
didn't see that, it was a big one.
I just worry about your safety.
Because you don't want to do this without me?
No.
Well, thank you for your concern.
You're welcome.
Pretty good defensive driver, but they're a little wackadoo out there because it's getting warm.
Yes.
So my little piece of vulnerability, and this is going to sound really bizarre, but strange things happen in places that you don't predict. Mm-hmm. And I had a flashback. I was, okay, y'all, just hang on to your bootstraps. Hanging on. Was in the restroom. Doing what you do in a restroom. And y'all, I coughed. I had something in my throat and I coughed. And what happened to me, and again, this is going to sound strange, but I just want people to know I coughed and it reminded me when I would throw up, when I was so sick from hangovers.
Huh.
In that space, in that place. And it was a really strange thing. And the reason why I bring it up is that sometimes people in their recovery, wherever they are on their journey, a situation is going to come. And let me tell you, I did like a tailspin, Sarah.
Wow.
I went through when I would go out and drink and I'd come home and I'd have to throw up, or I'd have to, the next morning, I'd be really ill and I'd be throwing up because my body was poisoned. Yes, I did do it. But it was really strange. It was just like this.
Wow. That was the flashback music and everything.
It was really interesting. And what it did is it's like, wow, where did that come from? But number two, how grateful am I?
Well, that could just goes to show, because you're a million years
I'm a million years
into your recovery. And
25 years in recovery, folks.
And it can happen just like that.
And again, I think one of the things my friend told me last night was, when you're talking on the radio, it really feels like you're having a conversation with someone. And I said, that has been my dream this entire time, and having a conversation. And this is the kind of stuff that will come up with somebody who kind of has similar lived experience. This isn't going to happen with just any Yahoo out there. But have you ever had a moment where all of a sudden you just get those memories?
Yeah, I still do every once in a while. Mainly when it comes to my old relationship, and some of the stupid things that I did during that whole thing. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, oh. Mm-hmm. And then I'm like, thank God I'm not there anymore.
Yeah.
And it makes me more grateful for the life that I do have now. Mm-hmm. Because I used to hate my history, right?
Right.
Because that guilt and the shame and all that. But I've gotten to a point now where if it wouldn't have, at least I think, if it wouldn't have happened, I wouldn't be where I am right now.
Right.
And so in a way, it sucks remembering those moments. Mm-hmm. But then I'm like, but it helped me get to where I am now and who I am now and doing this and working at Minnesota Recovery Connection. Mm-hmm. So there's a little bit of ugh and then gratefulness at the same time.
Yep. The word that comes to my mind is we're embracing the past. We're not.
You almost have to on some level.
You have to, because it is there. It's never going to go away. It's never going to change.
It's already happened.
And so what do? We look back at it and we go, okay. And every now and then it flares up and it pops up in its little head. And this goes for anybody who's listening to this. Either they are somebody who's in recovery. You're going to have these little moments. And it isn't succumbing to them. It's acknowledging them.
Learning from them.
And I'm sitting here talking on radio about throwing up in the bathroom. I mean, seriously, folks.
Can't get more vulnerable than that.
And the reason why is that things like this happen for no apparent reason. Some memory will pop up and you're just like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. I walked down the hallway at work and I kind of breathed through it. I'm like,
Did you tell anyone?
no, because it really just came in when I sat down here. It's like, what? Because I just had this moment and I had to get here fast. So kind of let it go. But it's really about remembering that when people have been on a journey of recovery, they're either in their substance use right now, they're trying to get out of their substance use, they are trying to reckon with then and now and where are they in this moment. It's a moving space.
And sometimes, no matter how long you're in your recovery, it can still be a moving space.
Yeah. And that's okay because all of a sudden it reminded me how friggin' grateful I am.
Yeah. That you're not doing that life anymore.
No, and I don't have to worry about that life anymore. I have to be aware of it, but I don't have to worry about it. I'm not at risk these days, but anything could happen. And I say, so that will bring me to my conversation about being in Stillwater Prison that dear sweet Sarah helps me prepare for all the time for these journeys. So let me explain. One of the things that Minnesota Recovery Connection, we got a very large grant through the Department of Corrections and Minnesota Department of Health.
Yes, correct.
MDH,
Yes.
I always forget all of the acronyms of who belongs to who. But we have this combined grant, which gave us the opportunity to go into state prisons, 7 of them in the Minnesota, and train individuals to be peer recovery specialists in what I call their community. Mm-hmm. And with that, people are like, ew, prison. I know Sarah, I would come, but she goes, how was it?
I'm so curious. Just because I don't get to go in with you. Because I work with you on the public classes, not the Department of Corrections. So I'm always fascinated.
Yes. And it's, and I have a lot of people ask me, like, what's it like? And I'm like, it's kind of like when you're watching a movie and you're walking into a prison, it's cement walls and locked doors, and you can't go some places and you can't do some things. You have to be escorted wherever you go, but it's not like everybody, because my guy asked me, he goes, is everybody running around in orange jumpsuits? And I'm like, no.
Wow, that's a stereotype.
But that's what we see on TV.
Yep.
See, only if you watch, Black is
Orange is the New Black.
or you watch some of the other ones are all wearing generally orange jumpsuits, and that's not the case in most prisons. They have a specific like 4 or 5 things they can wear, but they can interchange them.
Oh, sure, yeah.
So, and the reason why I want to talk about it is that I want to absolutely 100% acknowledge that I know with an individual that's in prison, there was a victim, generally speaking, be it a human or a business or a situation. So I never want to think that all these men and women are like, they're amazing humans when I get to be with them, but what they did is not amazing. It hurt society. It hurt somebody somewhere along the line. It hurt a family. It hurt a community. So I want to acknowledge that. But what I get is I kind of get the best of the best.
Mm-hmm. Because they would sign up and they have to go through the whole process, don't they?
Yeah. And this is kind of like something that could possibly interest people, and that is for a class of 20 to 22 people, I've had as many as 180 to 200 people apply within a prison for this class because they have an interest in helping out their fellow human within that environment.
And I think that goes to show that, yes, they did something not great, but that doesn't have to define who they are. Just like when we were in our active use, we all did things that we're not proud of or that we wouldn't do otherwise, but we changed.
Mm-hmm. Or we didn't get caught.
That too.
I mean, really got to think about it. I got caught for 2 DWIs, but I got to tell you, there were many more opportunities for me to have gotten caught.
Me too.
And
now that
so
I think about it.
We want to acknowledge the fact that that's behind a lot of us, but it's still part of us. And so when I get the opportunity to go into Stillwater Prison, which has quite the reputation, because it used to be where the worst of the worst went.
Oh.
And now it really is kind of the best of the best, the way the Department of Corrections has reconfigured their whole world, which I've seen happen like in the last year. And I just want to say, folks, you know what? Rehabilitation does happen if somebody wants it. And that's what I get to have in front of me.
The ones that want it.
The ones that want it and want to do things differently. There's a lot of regret on the actions that somebody did in the past. I can honestly say I had individuals that had taken other people's lives. And that's why I always want to acknowledge the fact that there's somebody that was hurt profoundly on the other side of this. And I can't just say that, oh, these guys are fantastic or these women are fantastic, because I have to acknowledge both sides of that. But what I do get to see is people that want to help people. And they want to help people in their worst moment of probably their life. And when they get to do that, it's like amazing. And so I sit with, these gentlemen or these women in a classroom, and I give them the materials, and they're kind of looking at me the way Sarah's looking at me like right now, like, really, you're just going to keep talking, Caddy?
No, I'm not thinking that. I'm listening, but also trying to think of what to say.
I know you are. But that's what they're thinking about me. They're like, is she ever going to stop talking? Are we ever going to get a chance?
It's a lot of information. Your time is shortened, so you have to get through more material in a short amount of time.
And then I also have to break down their walls.
So that's a lot to do.
And what's fun, y'all, is that I act like a total goober head.
Well, you do that anyway.
I know I do. But I don't change when I go into prison. I don't pretend I'm something that I'm not, because if I did, that would be so disingenuous to people. Ooh, that was a big word.
That's a Scrabble word.
That's a Scrabble word, disingenuous.
I think that's probably why you have a lot of people sign up, because you've been doing them for a while now. Mm-hmm. So people know you. Mm-hmm. And then the word spreads that you're a great trainer, or that she's funny, or you make it not like they're probably the traditional people that come in and they're...
Yeah, they're wah, 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 wah. If anybody knows the old Snoopy
Charlie Brown,
wah, Charlie Brown, wah, 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 wah. I am not that. We all know that. But what's interesting is that by the end of the week, I am dealing with people who were very closed, didn't know what to expect, didn't know what was going to happen. And they're conversating with one another, and they're sharing things. I talk about being a safe space, because when you're in prison, if you can imagine this, you're in prison and you're in a class with 22 people, half of which you don't know. Because they're not all in the same space. They're in different spaces within that. So first of all, they've got to kind of read the room.
Who are you and all that.
What are you going to be and who are you going to be to me? But by the end of the week, they're all conversing and talking. And sure, there's a little this and that, because there always is.
No matter what environment
whoever you're with. Like, I don't like them because I got green eyes. Fine. Get over it. But it's so interesting to see how much these men want to help the other people who are struggling. Just like when we do peer-to-peer work, right?
Yes. Or even the community classes we do. Mm-hmm. For the community, the Recovery Coach Academy. Just seeing how they come in on Mondays and they're so nervous or anxious or quiet, and then by Wednesday, Thursday, they're just
yammering on.
Yeah.
And it's about people accepting who they are, which I think is critically important, and that is they are where they are, wherever they are, mm-hmm. and where do we go from here?
And what can I do to be okay with what was, mm-hmm. and how can I use it to be better? Be a better person, help people, whatever that looks like to them. Mm-hmm. How can they use their lived experience for better?
Mm-hmm. I heard a situation today with someone who had a kind of a really uncomfortable situation happen. And I said, I'm really sorry that happened to you. And then where can you go from here? Because it's all about learning. Because sometimes we can sit and spin in our SH, you know what?
Mm-hmm. Very easily.
We can sit and spin in that. And that's how reuse happens. That's how depression happens. That's how misery happens. That's how regret, anxiety can happen. So how do we take even the toughest situation, going to someone that you can talk to, mm-hmm. get it out, as Sarah would say, get it out. And then where do you go from there? And that was kind of what I did today with someone as well. And so I have this incredible opportunity to be inside a prison, to be with individuals that have done the worst of the worst, but were probably at the worst of their lives.
And I could be wrong.
Give it a try.
But the majority, okay, I don't know why I was, anyway.
The humans.
Substance use disorder plays a big role in why there's a lot of incarceration.
Bam! Drop the mic.
So, if you think about it, I know I was no angel when I was in my active use. So if I would have gotten caught, right, doing
Whatever you did.
yeah, that so it's
a chain of events that can happen.
and so when someone is off their substance, they can be
Better.
a different person if they want to be. First off, they all have to want it, and take the opportunities that are provided to them to take that lived experience and use it for the better, or just get the education.
Yeah. And that's a key component to a lot of what has happened to the men and women in prison, that they've been given the opportunity to get GEDs. Some of them have done college courses. Some of them have done trades. Some of them have done many different jobs that can be done getting paid absolutely nothing. But that's the way the system works. But it is about taking that next opportunity, even in the weirdest of communities, as
Yes.
one might say. But it's like lifting yourself up. And that's what I get to see when I do this. And the biggest thing that I take away from this is that these men and women who take this class, they want to better themselves. But what they're doing is they're not just bettering themselves, they're bettering the people that they're living with, the people on the phones out there and outside community as well. Because if they can have a better conversation, a longer conversation, not biatch about everything all the time, and be more involved in people's lives, it can change even people on the outside.
And can build those relationships before the person is back out in the community.
And then when you build a community, we all know, because what is Minnesota based on?
Community and
Minnesota-
connection.
Yeah. Hey, what is that? Minnesota Recovery Connection.
Oh, do we have a jingle now?
Oh, I think we should. Yeah. Come up with a new jingle. But to be a healthy human, having a strong community is a key component.
Yes.
And that's what I get the opportunities that I see these people reaching out beyond their comfort zone within a community, that they have to follow the rules in that community, the culture in jail, the culture in prison. You have to follow those same cultural rules. But if you're willing to bend that and reach out, it can change somebody else.
Yes, it can, and do it beautifully.
So it's really, really interesting. I'm not giving Sarah much opportunity to
okay.
talk today.
It's okay.
But it's really nice to have her across the table from me, because I missed her today.
I'm just moral support.
Yeah, well, you're a lot more than that. So I just wanted to share that with people, because it really is. I realize I've trained like 260 men and women now in the Department of Corrections.
My
over all
goodness,
these years.
that's a lot.
That's a lot of humans that who knows what my impact has been. And we've seen some of those individuals come back. They've gotten out and then they've gotten back into jail.
Or they come to our office.
And then they come to our office. So it can fall either way, just like recovery. People can have a
Reuse.
and they don't come back and see us, or they have a reuse and
Then they go and do whatever they need to do to get healthy and come back and see us.
yeah. And so it's one of those things where recovery isn't just go get better and it's all going to be fine.
Because if it was,
Woo, we'd all be in like happy land.
we wouldn't have a job.
Yeah.
If it was that easy.
And I'd love to be out of a job for all intents
Yes,
and purposes.
that would be the
ultimate
ultimate
goal.
goal. However,
the reality is
that's not how this works.
well, and we think about it and we can joke about it. It's not a funny topic to joke about, but if we
Oh,
don't
I'm
laugh,
sorry.
no, I'm just saying if we don't laugh about this stuff, we're going to be miserable.
Then be too serious and no.
not have any fun. But the fact is addiction from a multitude of different things has been around since time began.
Yeah.
So we've not invented the wheel on addiction.
No, and I personally don't see it going away anytime soon.
No, people are gonna struggle, and we're gonna be able to be there. And so when I get to work with these men and women, predominantly men, they just get to see life through a different lens. And to me, there's no greater gift that I have the honor and the opportunity. I can't say it's like all me. I'm great. I'm fabulous.
Well, you are the main trainer of the.
But it's about how I have learned through the people that I have trained to give it away.
Yes, I had to follow that one for a second.
Follow that along. Yeah, there's a long pause
Yeah.
there. I train the way people have taught me to train.
Yep.
Because the people in my classes train me more times than not. And so that can bring me to my second part of this conversation. Ooh. Which is yesterday, There's a gentleman by the name of Colin Cash. I believe Colin was on the show a very long time ago.
I think he was.
Yeah. Colin started what was called Sober Squad back in the day, several years ago. It has now been passed on to the next generation of that. But Colin is Native American. He comes from the Mille Lacs Band of Ojibwe. And one of the other grants that we had in time with the Department of Health and Human Services was to bring peer recovery services to the Native community, because each cultural group has its own way of looking at addiction and getting better and healing and all those things. And so this is a group we know statistically that struggles with substance use. So I went and I sat in and I had my mind blown open.
Well, there you go.
Because it is interesting when I'm the minority and I hear and I don't try to make my place my space. Mm-hmm. Just like when we go, have you ever been in a meeting where you've actually, well, you're the minority.
I was going to say, this isn't
going to work.
No, I'm usually the minority anywhere I go. So
tell everybody why that is.
Oh, because I am Indian. Indian.
Yes.
So,
and a pint-sized one.
And a pint-sized one. And I sound white. So you might, if you hear me on the show, you might think I'm white, but I'm not. So it's a little different because I have that voice. I can talk like a white person, white woman. But when you look at me, there's a 4'11" little Indian lady.
Powerhouse. That's what she is.
Yes.
But see, when we were talking about how culturally you walk through life with a family that you grew up with, which would be Caucasian, European, all that kind of thing. That's the culture that you grew up in.
Yes.
But you look an entirely different way.
Sure do.
Yes. And then when I go into a class and I'm surrounded by 15 individuals that come from various tribes in the Native American community, and I'm the only white gal in there.
Woofda.
Well, it's wonderful because I just got to back the bus up and shut up.
It's a good learning.
And because I've done the training for so long, every now and then I'm like, I raise my hand like Sarah does. And I said, can I add something? And they're like, sure. But what I learned was that it is so important to recognize that the Native American community in our country, in our world, the groups, the marginalization that they have encountered has affected so many generations. And the thing I took away was we were talking about the sex trafficking and murdered and enslaved Indigenous women. And we hear that, but not until you're in a room with a bunch of people who are that, do you go, okay, wait a minute. I don't know all these stories. I know what I hear. I know what I see on a TV, but
not always the same thing.
That is so incomplete. And what I learned yesterday is going to come to you right now. I was going to wait till after the break. We've heard about the Catholic schools, right?
Sure.
Well, the Catholic schools that took all the Indian children from their reservations. The white Catholic schools groups would go out to Indian reservations and into tribal land, and they would take all the children out to de-Indian them.
That's rude.
Well, and they killed thousands and thousands and thousands of children, as well as these individuals were then taken away from their family of origin. All their languages were lost. All their traditions were lost. And the thing, folks, I want you to take away, so think about this. If you had that happen to you when you grew up and made children, how are you going to parent? You don't have any skills. You lived in an orphanage. You lived in a Catholic school where all you were told is who you are is not who you are. You can't have your hair. You can't have your language. You can't have your customs. You can't have your food. You can't have your dress. You can't have your music. How do you move forward?
Yeah, that's a whole...
It's a whole thing. I'm dropping a whole bomb on everybody here. But how I equate it to recovery is that it is hard when you have lived a life, like you had your life prior to recovery, where you were doing things that you weren't necessarily proud of. I myself And I had to change all that. Those old behaviors are hard to let go of.
Yes.
And here we have generations and generations. We talk about generational trauma. And so if you don't know who you are and you're miserable, what are you going to do? Probably drink or use drugs.
I would.
Why wouldn't you? And so we have a cultural group that has been disenfranchised, another big word for the Scrabble table.
Wow, are you playing Scrabble tonight and you're just getting ready?
Yeah, I can say it, I can't spell it to save my soul. But so I just want everybody to think about that, because people who struggle with substance use disorder feel disoriented and separated from their whole community. So when we come back, I'll try to wrap that one up with a little bit of sense. So thank you for listening to Redefining Recovery, Recovery Revolution here on AM 950. Getting deep. Don't you love it?
Yes.
Liquor store begging for your change. The hair on his face.
There we are with the bebopping language.
The summer tunes.
Summer tunes, springtime tunes. They're not quite summer,
sorry.
yeah.
Got
we're
too
getting
excited.
there. I know, yeah. The temperature's changing in the future. But hello, my name is
Hi.
Caddy Frank.
I'm Sarah Kemp.
And where are we from?
Minnesota Recovery Connection.
And we're talking on,
AM 950, the progressive radio station.
and the show is,
Redefining Recovery, a recovery revolution.
that was a test, y'all, because
Well, you did it out of order.
I know I did, but I made her do it. Anyway, I want to try to dial back where I went through in the first one, the last segment. I just had my mind opened up, and I think that's what it is. And this whole show that I get the opportunity to share with Sarah and share with our community, and that is, there's a lot of explanations for why people do what they do.
Yes.
Different cultures, different experiences, different tragic history, trauma, drama, all those things. And sometimes we forget and we just see what's in front of us, not what got us there.
Yes. We don't do the backtracking.
We just see, oh, that's somebody and they're an alcoholic or a drug addict. What's wrong with them, right?
Instead of asking,
What could have happened to them? Because that's really the question.
because that's where you're going to get the full and complete answer.
Or to their best ability.
Yeah, that too. But you'll get a better understanding, hopefully.
And that's one of the paramount things when we talk about,
Substance use disorder?
well, not that necessarily, but see, I'm having one of those blank moments. I had it last show too, where I couldn't remember the Walker Art Center.
Are we still talking about the training?
No, what am I talking about? When we talk about doing the work that we do.
Your services?
No, stop it. Quit talking to me. I got to think about it. Anyway, making sure that we ask not what's wrong with people, but what's happened to people. And if what's happened to people you don't understand, your objective is not to try to say, I get it. It's like, tell me more.
And learn.
Learn. Because I didn't pick up drinking because I wanted to be an alcoholic. That was the kind of last on the list because I kind of saw that in the rearview mirror with my parents. How
Yeah.
about you?
I never thought I would be.
No.
Honestly. But you take that one drink or that one drug. For me, it was the drug. And
Off to the races.
Yeah.
I learned that from a woman yesterday.
because my drug of use was meth. And so meth is highly addictive anyway.
Right.
So,
Yeah. And I heard an interesting story yesterday from one of the women in the class. Her husband was a active user of, I think it was heroin, and she endured his use. She did not use it all. And she said, you know what? I'm just going to go out and I'm going to do this. I want to see what it's like. Down she went. They lost their home. They lost their money. They lost their kids. They lost everything because addiction can hit that hard.
it can.
And it can be that party that you never leave.
Or it takes you a long time to leave.
Right. Or it takes you a long time to leave. And I was like, she wanted to give it a try. And I was like, okay, but now all of us, we pick up I picked up a drink back in the day, and I'm like, I can drink. Ha! Guess not.
Well, the thing with me was I was on Ritalin in middle school and high school.
Really, I didn't know that.
Yeah, for ADHD.
Okay.
Little known fact: meth and Ritalin are like 1 or 2 molecules different from each other.
Because they're stimulants.
Yeah. So I already had, not even.
You were predetermined in a sense that if you
Wow,
were,
that was just a. A light bulb moment for
She
me.
had a light bulb moment, everybody. She
on
had
the
a light
on
bulb
the
moment.
right. But yeah, because I had my experience with Ritalin from middle school, high school, and into college, and that's where I realized that the more I take, the more I can stay up.
And then you found something else.
And then I did.
But these are the reasons why we have these conversations, because if you've got an individual who's been on Ritalin for a long time and then life happens, life gets life, and then you find something else, boom!
Yeah.
You could be predisposed to that next substance.
And two, also, just because your doctor gives it to you does not always mean,
it's the right thing.
because I will remember in junior high, my mom would say, "Don't tell people you're on Ritalin because they'll want it." And I'm like, well, that's silly. Who
would want that?
like what? Because it was
You
not
didn't know.
even in my thought process that someone else would want it. Mm-hmm. And she kept telling me, she's like, "Don't tell," just.
Yeah, Mom knew enough to
Yeah.
know.
And I was like, "You're silly." Like, just.
Because you were in high school, or you were in junior high. You know everything, right, Sarah?
Well, and I was like, who's going to want my prescription? Not no one at the time. That was
That's a thing.
that's a thing.
Yeah. I mean, it happens all the time with all kinds of people all over the world, all the time.
So just because your doctor gives it to you does not mean that it's always safe. Or
understanding
Yes.
it, I think, and
Yes.
that's what your mom understood, but she wasn't able to kind of get that through your thick young head at
No.
that point.
no, because then I think because it was early 2000s, and so
Yeah.
ADHD and Ritalin and Adderall were everywhere in that stage of the game.
And then opiates were part of that same game time too. So people, a little kid who might go out and get hurt and be on Ritalin and then have an injury and then get some opiates, and then there's a double, triple whammy going on there. And we got to think about that. All these pharmaceuticals have been out there for a long time. So as we kind of wrap up this,
Yeah, I was gonna say, where were we going with all of that? I don't know.
Addiction can come from any place.
Yes, traumatic events, just
Historical trauma,
trying it because you want to know what it feels like.
and there's so many easy access points. And what we
Yes.
have to understand, if somebody accesses it, you're a parent, you're a partner, you're a grandparent, you're an aunt, you're an uncle, you're a best friend. If you see something that looks off in someone and you know that they've been like experimenting or they've hanging out with a new group of people that
Or isolating.
or you're kind of like, I spy why you hanging out with them. Be that really good person to walk into that space and say, something seems off. I really love you. I really care about you. I don't want to judge you, but what's been going on so I know more. And that's what peer work is.
And just having that relationship with someone that gets it.
Yeah. And that's where we can come into play at Minnesota Recovery Connection. Nice to see how that was.
Oh, that
good.
was good.
That was a good
Because our
spin.
peers, I'm not a certified peer recovery specialist, but our peers are wanting to make a difference in people's lives, in their participants' lives. They want to support everybody that they can, and help them find their long-term sustainable recovery.
In whatever way it looks.
Yes.
And
And
then
we
that-
honor all pathways at Minnesota Recovery
Recovery Connection. Yes, got to get that all in there. And I, as the trainer for peer recovery specialists, I train this class. Sometimes people want to become professionals in the field, but I say there was a woman who came in she's an ally, which is somebody who's been affected by substance use disorder, but she herself does not struggle with it. And I said, please take the class, get more wisdom about what it is that people are going through. And people who take the class that might not want to go into the field, but they just want to have a stronger recovery or see it from a different lens.
Or learn more about substance use disorder in general.
In general, yeah. Somebody might have struggled with it, but they've been doing one thing for their entire recovery career and want to try something different. This is a great way to just get exposure to all the different
Pathways.
pathways. I
was gonna say avenues, but it's like no, pathways.
That's- yes.
Well, and we have some volunteers that are allies
Yeah.
to the recovery community, and they just want to give back because they know what substance use disorder did to their families and their loved ones. That they want to, like, we have one that's gonna apply to medical school because he wants to be a doctor, and I'm in the process of writing him a letter of recommendation. I'm like, oh, I'm fancy. I'm used to writing letters for probation and things.
Yeah, now we get to do it to a medical
It's
school.
like, oh.
But think about how great that is. Just like Alyssa, who was with us years ago, she was going into medical school. She worked through AmeriCorps, Recovery Corps, and helped learn about addiction as an ally to go be a doctor. I mean,
And that's what I'm writing in his letter, too, that he's taken so much out of his personal time to come volunteer with us and with other organizations to do street outreach for the unsheltered community. That who thinks to take that time off when they're trying to get to medical school, and how much of an impact he's going to have on his patients in the future, that he'll understand it
And
on a
not judge
different
it.
level
And
than
not judge it.
than a regular,
Yeah. As some doctors don't get it, and they're not going to unless they have a good interaction with somebody who can say, I didn't want this.
Yeah.
It's mine, but I'm managing it, and don't judge me for it. Well, this was a conversation that went all over the place. I gosh darnly hope y'all enjoyed it.
and understood it.
Understood it. If you didn't, just ride the ride with us. So thank
And
you.
Enjoy the weather
Yes, thank you for listening to Redefining Recovery Revolution.
here on AM 950.
And we are brought to you by Minnesota Recovery Connection. And if you've got any extra shekels in your pocket, you need to make a donation. We'll be happy to take it to keep us keeping on. Thank you for listening. Have a great day.
Bye.